Alyssa Orange is with us here on her usual Tuesday hit from some paradise out in Texas somewhere. And Alyssa, obviously, you didn't hear your usual song there because we've got a superstitious theme that we're trying to rock here. Which
okay.
I don't know if you need any of the details of it, but it's a weird sort of etymology experiment that I'm taking with me to Omaha, and it all just leads to
every song today that has to have "fly" in the title.
I've finally become superstitious, Alyssa. So it's only weird,
but it's only
work.
Doing it because we're going to win.
Okay, well, you know what? If it works, then it's genius. So superstitions are real, and so I'm here for it. Whatever you need me to do, Phil, you let me know.
Right? I needed where are you? I saw the photo you sent me. This is somebody told me there is no such thing as paradise in Texas. I'm like, the photo of the pool that Alyssa showed me looks like it's paradise.
Yeah, I'm at my aunt and uncle's house in New Braunfels, Texas, in between Austin and San Antonio. My cousin got married over the weekend, which I have to say was really nice that there was no Texas baseball super regional traffic to deal with. And then we've been out here for the last few days.
All right, so we got a College World Series coming up on Saturday. Alyssa against LSU. Arkansas is right now they are the betting favorite, and I think even if it's not just a matter of the betting favorite, if you're looking at who the pundits say right now are the most complete team, it's Arkansas. I mean, they didn't really have to even break much of a sweat in the regionals or the supers. That first game against Tennessee was the only really close ball game. So, this is kind of a rare situation where you look at the field and you say, you know what? I think Arkansas really is better than the field, and they end up playing potentially the second best team Saturday.
Yeah, I think so. And I think you're right. And when you look at exactly how everyone got through their regionals and super regionals, I was doing a little more research today. Arkansas, UCLA, and Coastal Carolina, the three teams of the 8 that didn't lose any regional game or super regional game. And of those 3 teams, not that means much, but they're just playing really well. They did not lose during the postseason yet. Arkansas is the most complete team, top to bottom. I think where we saw a little bit of a lull towards the end of the regular season, in the middle of the season, offensively has been corrected. Defensively, they've always been really solid, and it just feels, Phil, you understand when you get to this time of the year in Omaha, pitching is everything. And you just feel really good about where this pitching staff is right now and who they have in the bullpen to go to depth-wise to go the distance in games. And sometimes, can Arkansas win a bullpen game if they need to? And I think the answer is yes. And I think some of the other teams that have come to Omaha over the years, maybe that wasn't the case. And so you feel really good about what Dave and the staff have done this season to put them in a place where, man, they are just a solid team up and down right now when it matters the most. And I think they know that, right? I saw something earlier on Twitter where someone was asking the question of who is Arkansas's, biggest opponent on their side of the bracket. And you mentioned LSU, but one comment said themselves. And quite frankly, Phil, that might be it. They just have to make sure they can go to Omaha and execute and play baseball the way that they know how to play baseball, and they can win this whole thing and maybe not get in their way.
And they hit 14 home runs in the regional and super regional in 5 games. It's tough to replicate that kind of power at the College World Series ballpark. And I look at it. I look at the dimensions now, and I thought they were bigger just off the top of my head. 408 straightaway center, 335 down the lines, 375 into the alleys. It's 365 into one of the alleys at Arkansas. It's much shorter down the lines, 8 feet deeper in straightaway center in Omaha than it is at Ball and Walker. Now, I mean, these guys can hit home runs at that ballpark. Well, there were some wall scrapers. Yeah. In the super regional, and what that ballpark does sometimes is I think it forces it really shows who does the little things best, who executes pitches, who makes plays in the field, who gets an extra base when they can, because to me it's more about the largeness of the alleys. Doubles turn into triples there. We think about you can't hit home runs, doubles turn into triples in that ballpark.
It does. And it's funny you say that because dimensions are so deceiving sometimes because we've stood on that ball field during batting practice and warm-ups and such, and it just feels so much bigger than maybe it really is comparatively to Baum-Walker Stadium in certain points. But you're right, it just doesn't feel historically like a home run ballpark, and you've got to be able to manufacture some other runs. But I just don't have any hesitation with this offense and the way that they're playing right now. And yeah, they hit a lot of home runs, but we've also seen them score in other ways and have timely hits when it matters and have more line drives through the infield into the outfield than what we've seen in the past with some other teams where if they weren't hitting home runs, they weren't getting any offense. And so that's maybe another reason why you just feel really good about this team is that there just hasn't been anything that has felt too much, from the ballpark to the atmospheres to the opponents. They've always felt like they've been in a game. They can win any game. It's just, I don't know, there's a swagger about this team that just makes me feel really confident as they head into this ballpark that we know is just a tough place to play in general. And it just feels, again, bigger than it is because I think the moment obviously is so big that I'm not worried. I've got a very calm feeling about how this team is going to get to Omaha and perform.
Now, you've been around for some of the other teams that played in Omaha. Did you ever feel that way about those teams, or does this team stand apart?
I think this team stands apart. I was thinking about that earlier this week. You know, you look at the 18 team, and they were talented enough to do it, but I even remember when that opening game against Texas in 18, feeling nervous. Like we still didn't really know. Like we knew they were good. We just didn't really, like in that Texas game and there was the rain delay and all the things. There was still a little bit of like, oh gosh, because then you go back to 15 and they got to 15 and they lost those first two games with that team in 15 and went home. And then even in 22, the way that season unfolded and even through the rallies with the regionals and Stillwater and then the supers at Chapel Hill, it was almost like they were playing with house money, and they were good, obviously. But you kind of knew, oh gosh, there was a little bit of weaknesses here or there that I don't know if they could go the distance. And I just don't feel there's a calm about this team where I'm just not worried about anything. And maybe that's a little bit of why we saw the emotion from Dave that we did after that game on Sunday, is because he sees it. And maybe he feels it too, that like this might be it. You know what I mean?
Of course I do. It's just it's tough to say that. It's tough to say that part out loud sometimes, and I'm feeling many more people becoming comfortable with that idea. And look, I don't want to talk about national championship in the regular season, or can this team win the whole thing when you're watching them play in April. But I made up my mind a while back about them. I just was trying to be a little bit more measured about it. Dave made up his mind about this team a long time ago, too. He told him 6 weeks ago he started thinking about, packing for Omaha. But they've believed. I'm starting to feel much more from the fan base, even the most jaundiced fan that feels like the sky is going to fall. They're even starting to, let in a little bit of belief, too.
They are, and I think that's why there's this. I don't even know how to describe it, Phil. There is I'm not even in Fayetteville at the moment. I haven't been in Fayetteville since last Wednesday, right? So I'm not even in town. But you can just sense it. You can sense it on social media. You can sense it from things people are saying and text messages and messages that I'm getting. There is a calm confidence and just this anticipation of this is it. Like, this team is it. And we are like, there's no nervous confidence. It's a weird vibe right now, and it's very exciting because I haven't felt this way from, like I mentioned, from the other teams that have gone to Omaha. There's still been the kind of like, oh, I don't know. They've got to make sure that this lines up and this lines up, or if they lose this game, they're no way going to come out of the loser's bracket. I just don't feel that way about this team. And it's very different. We've covered Arkansas athletics for a really long time. This is a very different feeling.
It's a fun feeling. I mean, I like it. I really like
Yeah.
it. Did you lingering disappointment from Florida State losing to Oregon State, especially the way that first game went down?
Oh my gosh! So I'm so sad because that third game was just, I opened up my phone and it was 2-0 in the top of the first, and then it was 7-2 in the bottom of the first, and I was just like, that's it. This game is over. Yeah, that first game was tough because I was watching in the hotel, and there was a welcome party at 8:00, and it was 4-1 in the 8th, and I was like, I feel good. And then I leave, and my cousin was like, hey, did Florida State win? I was like, I think so. They were up 4-1 in the 8th when we left the hotel, and then he put up his phone, and he goes, oh, no. And I was like, what? And he was like, they lost 5-4 in the 10th. I was like, you've got to be kidding me.
That's rough.
It was awful.
That's
it was awful.
Rough. Well,
it took every ounce of me to just not drop my glass in that moment where you're like, and shatter my drink all over the floor.
BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for all your sports betting action. With baseball season in full swing, BetOnline has more ways to stay in on the action with the latest odds, news, scores, and even live in-game betting while the games are being played. We keep the dog days of summer rolling with the largest selection of odds on everything. With updated odds on the MLB, UFC, and boxing to tennis and NFL futures, BetOnline remains the best online source for all your sports wagering information. In between games, head over to the BetOnline Casino with all the top Vegas-style games, including poker and live casino. BetOnline. The game starts here.